Okay. So you'll march straight out, and you'll turn to the left, and then Jim will turn to the right. Check the up to the left. And now you're Port arm. Okay. She's not using it. Present arm. Port arm. On guard. Center. Face. Forward. March. On left. Hunt. Today we are here for final military honors for the Marine Corps veteran, Gunnery Sergeant Henry Thomas. He was a member of both VFW Post 9182, American Legion Post 164, and the Marine Corps League. Today we will fire 3 volleys. The firing team is made up of Marine Corps League, American Legion, and VFW members. He was an honored member of the Honor Guard for many years. Firing will be very loud. Right over there. And my wife, as far as I wear here, after 54 years, I look for her. Honor Guard, ready, aim, fire, ready, aim, ready, aim, fire. Look up. Our change, up. Order on 3 2. on behalf of the President of the United States, the Secretary of the Navy, the Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps, the Commander of VFW Post 9182, Commander of American Legion Post 164, Commandant of Marine Corps Legion, and the people of a grateful nation. This flag is presented in honor of your husband's honorable and faithful service. You know this flag cannot replace your husband, but it may provide some solace in your We're inserting reshield Resident 3 Volley 25 in his memory. You know right there, all the shells
Tony, on behalf of VFW Post 9183 and its auxiliary, we present you with this case to keep Henry's honored memory ever present. I can't tell you how much we appreciate knowing this. Thank you.
On behalf of the President of the United States, Department of Veteran Affairs, and a grateful nation, please accept this Presidential Memorial Certificate and honor your loved ones faithful to serve our country. Inside, you hold the memorial certificates for the family, member certificates, signature, and date. Thank you.
Not just Henry Thomas, Johnny Thomas, who offered his life as a service to our nation's cause, his community, his VFW, his American Legion, and the rest of his community, his friends, his work patriots, his family, and his wife of 58 years. And to God. Proudly we remember his service because of men and women like Henry. We live in a land of freedom, peace, and justice. May our ceremonies of today deepen our reverence and memory of our honored comrade and friend. In order to enrich that memory, 4 people would like to say a few words. The first of which I think ought to be Todd Spiller, who signed Henry up in our VFW.
I'm Todd Spiller. I was commander, I believe, when Henry came over from the American Legion to the VFW. He'd been qualified many years before. I know of nobody who worked harder than Henry in 3 organizations. In fact, the Semper Fi Society, which he was in, Connie, you remember it, from the start, and still, I believe. He was always doing more than anybody else. I know that when Henry got up topside, he was greeted not only by generals, but privates, all the gunnies, everybody who ever heard of him, and that was everybody. So, anyway, Connie, it's so good to see you and the family, and Semper Fi.
Next.
I first got acquainted with Tom, with Henry. We first served on the honor guard together, and we shared rides back and forth, and so I got to know him very well. Anytime that Henry entered a room, the atmosphere changed. He always had a nice word, a joke, or razz somebody about something. That was Henry. And Henry and I had several talks together, talked like brothers. And Henry, if something was going wrong within the VFW or within any member, and he'd always come to me or Todd and ask, am I right on this? I said, yeah, we think you are. He said, well, I'll take care of it. Next time you see him, he'd kind of wave the house on and said, I took care of it. So Henry was a gentleman, and also he was, I guess I'm looking for the word now, but he's a rebel. But Henry and I, we were real close together, and enjoyed being with him. And any time that he told you anything, you could believe on it. Henry was a man's man and a Marine's Marine. Henry Semper Fi.
Frank Miner.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Frank Miner, and I had the fortune of knowing Henry. The first night was at my very first VFW meeting, and I had just retired out of the Marine Corps, and he was one of the first people to walk up to me that night who did not know a soul and say, "Young man, I don't think I know you. My name is Henry Thomas." And right away, I knew I had met a now a new friend. And over the years, it's been a great friendship, and he has been a wonderful mentor to me. Not without saying, though, Connie, having met her, and I've shared with you many times, you are definitely that long-lost older sister that I always wanted, but never had. And I just cannot begin to thank you so much for your love and your friendship. You know, to us Marines, Henry was famous. He was a celebrity because he not only had met the infamous Louis Chesty Puller, he worked for the guy. He was his driver back in the 1950s, and he had some great Chesty stories. And I remember asking him, saying, well, you picked him up at the house and took him to work. I said, did he call you corporal or what? He goes, well, sometimes he called me Tom, sometimes he called me corporal, most of the time he just called me Hank in private. He never called him by his rank that much. He said, I just called him General. Again, I have just such wonderful memories of him, and like the two previous gentlemen shared ahead, you know, he always had such a wonderful thing and a voice, and always just made you feel good at all times. And we all know Henry, that regardless of how bad things got, anytime you were saying goodbye to him, he'd always say, it doesn't matter what life throws at you, always just be cool. And that was his mantra. So thank you very much. Gunnery Sergeant Henry Bruce Thomas, also known as Paw Paw to his grandkids. Semper Fi.
Mike McGee was Henry's boss for years and years.
But don't hold me accountable for that. I first met Henry in August of 1974 when we were hiring employees at the Lakeland, Florida Civic Center. Henry had come in and applied for a job in the event patron services department, and wasn't long into the interview, he made me well aware that he had been in the Marine Corps and had recently retired. So with all of that done, we wound up making a deal, and he came to work for us. So he put what he'd learned from the Marine Corps together, and he worked his way to the assistant operations manager position in Lakeland. Well, fast forward about 5 years, I had an opportunity to come to Houston, and I asked Henry to join me. And I would tell you that drawing on his military background as the operations manager for the summit, he oversaw the safety and welfare of about 1,600,000 people annually. And he did this for like 15 years, and he did it in a very, very good way. He oversaw the NCAA men's basketball tournament, the NBA finals, the IHL and AHL hockey, numerous ice shows and circuses, hundreds of concerts, and the like. Also, as part of his oversight duties as the operations manager at the Summit, he had the privilege of overseeing Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus's pachyderm food giveaway. Not one of his favorite events, but that was one of his events. He was always calm and willing to help regardless. He drew near to the staff of the Summit because every once in a while Henry would have what I would call, if you remember Norm Crosby, who was known as Mr. Malaprop, Henry would come across with a Henryism, and he'd call on the radio for somebody to send him a bucket of CO2. And then one time he told me that looking at the walls where the suites are, that we needed to put some murals on there. And I asked him, I said, which cigar would you like up there? He didn't quite understand what I was talking about. Henry was a man of character, honesty, loyalty, and trust. He was great, as you said previously, at building relationships. You never knew when you went in Henry's office who was going to be back there. I would walk back there and there'd be NASA astronauts that had just come back from the moon. Pretty overwhelming, to say the least. Some of you may remember the wrestler Dusty Rhodes from the World Wrestling Federation. He would come down and spend New Year's Eve with Henry in his office for the Billy Nelson concert. Basketball legend Luke Dunbar with the Harlem Globetrotters never missed an opportunity to call Henry on his birthday. And of course, Moses Malone, who most of you know was the MVP of the National Basketball Association, would come down to see Henry from time to time and always teased Henry, saying that if he'd had a special parking space in that parking garage down there, he'd still be a Rocket. He wouldn't have gone to Philadelphia if they didn't give him that parking space. Unfortunately, Henry couldn't give him that parking space because the NBA wouldn't allow it. Henry was a modest, simple, and humble guy in his approach and with his style of working with one. Rest in peace, my friend. We will miss you.
Hard to follow. Wonderful, cherished words, and I'm sure all of you will remember. We believe that our comrade is now in the hands of our Heavenly Father, the Supreme Commander and Judge of all. We lay our comrade's body to rest. Let us cherish his virtues and learn to imitate. Let each of us be loyal and faithful to our meaning, missions, and life. And now, may the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord's face shine upon us and be gracious unto us, now and forevermore. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. May his angels and the blessings of heaven be with our brothers, family, and friends, wherever they are dispersed in the world forevermore. This concludes the service. Thank you for paying respect to our fallen service member. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of Henry's life. It is truly an honor to be standing up here next to Henry for the last time. Again, thank you. Have a blessed day.
Also presenting winner of the great very, very good.
Security family, I hate to rush y'all off. We have another service coming right behind you. Thank you.
Sorry. That's all right. Thank you.